Well, Governor, we've got the special session. We're trying to tackle this issue of property tax relief. One thing I just wanted to ask, why a special session? What's the need? I even talked to one legal scholar who said, is this really an emergency? Does this have to be dealt with now? Make the case. Why do we need to do this? Why do we need to do it right now?
Yeah, I mean, the property taxes are so egregious, so out of control, that they're the most egregious tax increase. People have no say. People are being run out of their homes, for crying out loud. People can't afford the home that they paid for. We have young people, 35% of young people in Nebraska have lost the hope of the American dream of owning their own home. You don't have to own property. Rent is going up astronomically every year simply because of what property taxes are doing. Farmers and ranchers are saying, how on earth I need to sell my land and go to another state because we're 2 and 3x property tax. So it's it's about workforce development, for crying out loud. When you have the highest property tax in the country, or in the top 6, you're telling people you're not open for business. We have no idea how many people are not coming here. So it's urgent. If we don't take action, it's soon going to be going up $1 million a day. Property taxes went up $300 million in the first year I'm governor. We have to take action now. And then lastly, I could say it's 1,400 reasons. We've had 1,400 bills introduced in the first 2 sessions. This needs undivided attention, and that's why I called it.
You mentioned farmers and ranchers. We like to say 1 in 4 jobs in the state is related to agriculture. I don't know about you, but where I live, I'd say darn near every job is related to agriculture, whether somebody's in production agriculture or in a support role that is doing something. Speak specifically to our rural communities. If I'm in Burwell or Binkelman or Fullerton or wherever I'm at, what's the impact of the legislation going to be?
Well, it's significant. The other part when this calling happened that I was stunned to learn, out of 244 school districts, 184 school districts virtually didn't get a dime for K-12 education from the state. For crying out loud, the state has to quitting on kids, and so that's a key piece. Is our highest cost of our property taxes is K-12 education. So the goal is simply to have the state do its constitutional job and step up and provide the funding for K-12 education so it comes off the backs of property taxpayers. That's a really, really key piece. And then the other, valuations. Valuations are driving everybody insane and saying, I can't afford my home anymore. Well, the bottom line, it's not a valuation problem. We don't want the values of our homes to go down. It's a spending problem. And so we have to have hard caps on local government because nobody knows this, but we have state statute. We have state statute that says whatever valuations go up, the levy's supposed to come down. No change in the tax bill tax check you write. But there's a pop-off valve, and every local government is able to override it, and they do everywhere 100% of the time. So local control, we have to have hard cap 0 or CPI, and if you need more money than that's a vote of the people, not votes of 3 or 6 people. It hasn't worked.
Specifically on ag land, how much are you projecting that your taxes could go down under the plan?
Yeah, our plan would have your tax, it's going to vary from county to county depending upon what your situation is with your school district, but on average it's going to be 50%. So if you're in a county where you don't have very many kids and not much of a school expense, it won't be as dramatic. But in where you have a lot of kids, where you have high school expense, it'll be dramatic.
As you well know, agriculture is capital intensive. Buying a new piece of machinery isn't cheap. Are we going to have a sales tax on that? Are we going to have personal property? One, the other, both, neither? What's that going to look like?
Yeah, I think where everything has evolved through is we've worked with senators and with farmers and ranchers everywhere. They think that the thing where we've settled on is that we will have a sales tax on new equipment, And to offset that, there will be no personal property tax. So if you buy a new tractor, you pay personal property tax for 5 or 7 years. Today you'll pay sales tax on that, and then there will be no personal property on it. So that helps the piece of broadening the sales tax. To pay for this, we're leading the way in state government with running it like a business and becoming more efficient. We lead the way with $400 million, and then we need to broaden the sales tax. And I think that what's really important for everybody to understand is we've talked about these 120 exemptions that have taken place, sales tax exemptions that we used to tax, and then they one by one came off. And as I've said, all of the senators that would have voted for those sales tax exemptions over 50 years, they were sold. They were sold that was a tax cut, that those sales tax exemptions were a tax cut. Well, they weren't a tax cut. There was no decrease in spending. That money had to come from somewhere, and it has, and it did. It's from property tax. If a state is going to grow, any economist will tell you that you have to have the lowest property tax so you can grow your state, and we have the highest. We have to fix it. It's really not that complicated. It's incredibly common sense.
Lincoln Journal-Star ran some numbers showing your family business stands to save, I think, like $1 million. How do you respond to what they're saying there?
You know, my response is simple. I've been blessed. My family's been blessed more than we could ever deserve in 100 lifetimes. But what's happened, I love the people in the state of Nebraska. What's happened to me has happened to gobs and gobs of families in every single county. And we've worked hard, and you know, I'm not going to apologize for being blessed and working hard. That thought dings you, no ifs, ands, or buts. But you know, I'm working hard for the people in Nebraska. I'm working hard for the people who are losing their homes and the people that don't have a voice. That's the governor I'm trying to be.
I got home the other day, pulled out a mailer, and my mailbox says, "Call Ray Aguilar, tell him he's got to vote for this." I got a text the other day. Who's paying for that? Has your name on it? Is that state dollars? Is that campaign dollars?
No, of course not. It's campaign dollars. Yeah, we're working hard. We're working hard to make sure that Nebraskans have to understand how incredibly powerful the lobby group is in this rotunda. The legislative process is stunning to me, and how much power the lobby groups have. And so I'm working hard and that was part of all of our town, getting Nebraskans to recognize their voice has to be heard. One person said, "I don't do that stuff." I said, "Seriously, if there's a problem and you don't want to be a part of it, the solution, it doesn't work, and people's voices have to be heard, and people's voices calling their senators makes a big difference."
And I see too, there's been some sort of complaint lodged that maybe using state resources unfairly to campaign for this.
Not at all.
Okay. There are, I think by my count, about 80 bills and about 20 constitutional amendments. Does it have to be your bill? If something else comes forward, I've heard some talk, maybe this LB9, I think it is, Senator Hughes has some good ideas.
Yeah.
Does it have to be your bill?
Absolutely not. Hey, I want to win for the people in Nebraska. You know, in basketball, I play basketball. I love to shoot the ball, but I don't have to. I just want to win.
Along those lines, this is a special session it's kind of open-ended. We don't have necessarily a time frame here. Do they need to meet until they've settled something? What's your thought?
You know, I think that I have full confidence in everybody in the unicameral. Everybody elected here knows property tax is a crisis and it has to be fixed. I'm very, very confident that we'll coalesce around everybody's ideas and come with a solution that will be transformative.
Are there some principles that are kind of guiding all this? What are some of the kind of the main things that you're looking at that you would say those are the things that are kind of, these are the lines I won't cross, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think there's things that we have tremendous support around. Front loading the previous property tax credits, no brainer. We've got to have hard caps on spending. carve-outs for police and fire. But we have to have hard caps. We've got to stop local spending. We've not been good at holding our neighbors accountable. We have to have hard caps, and then obviously we have to have significant funding from the state for K-12 education. You know, the sales taxes that come on board, those are really simple. The principles of sales tax is, you know, we're not going to have a sales tax on food. We're not going to have a sales tax on medicine. We're not going to have sales tax on nonprofits. There's no inputs for agriculture, for manufacturing. Going to be a sales tax on new equipment, but no personal property. There's not going to be any double taxation. None of us believe in that. Lastly, if none of the surrounding states have a tax on an item, we're not going to have it. So those are simple, keep us competitive, but make sure that we can fix the property tax crisis.
You talk about this idea of these hard caps. I've talked to some county commissioners who say, hey, the state loads us up, burdens us up with all these mandates. Yeah. We've got to do a justice system. We've got to find an office for our probation people that are state employees. Is there anything the state can do to help those counties out with some of those mandates that they're required to do?
Yeah. We call it Operation Clean the Closets Out. I think there's about 20% of the county government's costs are unfunded mandates. And I'm working with NACO and saying, let's get those together and let's bring legislation next year and end them, because it's ridiculous that we have these mandates. I'm totally opposed to mandates, and as I say, I've never met anybody that likes to be told what to do. The state telling counties what to do, these mandates, we have to get rid of them, and that's what we'll be working on next session.
Can you give me some examples? What are some of those mandates?
Oh, you know, it'd be something to do with how wide you might make your street, or it may have to do with what kind of bridge you put on a minimum maintenance road. Those should be made locally and be able to run your county, you know, as efficiently as you can. The way we used to do business versus today has to be dramatically different.
You mentioned local control. I've heard some people saying, well, all of this plan, we're going to take away local control. Schools aren't going to have local control. We're going to lose local control.
No, not at all. And that's so number one, the plan would be very, 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 very similar, carbon copy of what we did 2 sessions ago when we funded all of our community colleges. The goal, obviously, every kid, we need to get more trade schools, kids through trade schools, so strengthening the community colleges so no kid is left behind. And yet every community college has the ability to use property taxes as backstop. This is the same, and every school has the ability to go and build whatever kind of building, whatever they want to do. That piece stays exactly the same. And if the school district wants more money, they can go take a vote of the people to get that. So local control is stronger than ever. Local control is not votes of 3 and 6 people, it's votes of the people.
Can I jump in real fast?
Yeah.
Is that how that backstop would work for the local school system to increase property taxes if the state fails to meet funding?
Yeah,
it would have to go to a vote of the people?
Yeah, so we agree on 2% growth. Pick a number.
Sure.
If all of a sudden something happens 8 years from now, you know, we've done a look back in 40 years. The state has had 2 years where it was hard. If the state doesn't have that money, if they're 3 or 5% short, the school board then has the ability to, without going to a vote of the people, to go and levy for property tax. So that's the backstop. So, and the school board decides they need a new school, a new gymnasium, then that's when they go and take a vote of the people to build that. The people decide. Local control is alive and well. Obviously, people that don't want change say that's not local control. It's votes of the people are total local control.
So that, just to clarify, Would that have to go to a vote of the people if they do an override, if they need to increase their levy?
No.
Then they-
If the state is short on money, they don't have to go to the vote of the people. That's the school board's decision.
Okay.
If they are going to, if they want to increase programming, it costs $10 million above what the state pays, then that would be a vote of the people.
Okay.
If the school board believes very strongly in it, then to get the money, they have to take that to a vote of the people.
You mentioned this idea of front loading. Right now, you have to apply for these tax credits. So I think a big part of this would be we're just going to have that baked into the system so that.
Yeah.
Because there's some people right now. I don't know why. I guess I have an accountant who does my taxes and checks the box. But are there people now who aren't taking advantage of that?
Yeah. So that's as I've said, I'm governor of all Nebraskans. So the good news is it's $750 million of property tax credits. The bad news. It doesn't matter how it happened. The bad news would be in 2023, out of the 750 million, only 500 was taken advantage of, and that made up 55% of Nebraskans. So the 250 million, that came from 45% of Nebraskans that didn't take advantage of it. Obvious, it's people not earning as much income, not paying for accountants, not being aware of it, and so yeah, this is it just comes off the statement. Nobody ever writes a check. Government's not using your money for 6 or 10 months, and everybody gets it because it just comes off. You never write the check. Kind of a no-brainer.
You mentioned with K-12 education, it would be treated a lot like community colleges.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what about NRDs or public power or any of the other entities? I mean, would you entertain discussions on how we ought to fund some of those other political subdivisions?
You know, I think that this plan, so the answer would, I'm open to any conversations and topics, but this plan would take place, it would have an impact on 95% of the taxes that come in and have an impact on your property tax. So, you know, we're zeroed in laser sharp on the property taxes. Whatever cities want to be doing with their sales tax, that's their privilege. You know, if you take a look at cities' growth in sales tax revenue, it's been substantial. And you know, Ernie Goss has really done a report. He and his team, they did it because they love Nebraska. Totally an unbiased report. Nobody paid them. They did it on their own. And you know, it's really simple. This plan will increase GDP for Nebraska. This plan will increase revenue from Dr. Goss's report, over $400 million. This plan will grow Nebraska. That's why we have to get it done.
Does it have to be done all at one time? Can this be phased in over multiple years? Let's say we front load it, we come up with a framework. It might take a couple of years for it to be fully realized. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, and that's you know, whatever levy, you know, our plan would today has 15 cents, 7.5 and 0. You know, if it starts higher, you know, I'm open to what the body's at there. Again, this is Nebraska's plan. This isn't my plan.
We haven't talked, but on the state side, spending. You've got some ideas in terms of, are there some things that we can, some expenses we can eliminate as part of state government? Yeah,
no question. I mean, there's, you know, Director Jeffries with the Department of Corrections, you know, and Department of Corrections with 5,500 people, you have a lot of nurses. We have had fallen into the trap of contract nursing, spending a lot of money, being able to get our nurses on full time as public servants and having the benefits, not paying nursing contractors. We saved $10 million for crying out loud. Being a part of Medicare reimbursement, which we hadn't been doing, you know, those are examples. Putting speed bumps, having more accountability in contracts going out, so that we really are getting ROIs on what kind of investments we're making. I understand the difference between spending and investing. We're going to be making investments where we need to, but we're not going to be spending money frivolously. An example, I mean, we have contract services because we couldn't find the person, so then we hire a contracting agency, and for a for a skill that is $100 an hour market. I mean, we're paying $250. Are you kidding me? So when you improve services, you just save hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's what we're working on everywhere.
Would we look at some big ticket things? I mean, I've heard things like the Perkins County Canal. Do we need to rethink some of those large expenses? Are you entertaining those?
Yeah, Perkins Water's, water's a 100% gift, and we'll be fighting for every single drop we possibly can get. So, I was asked a hypothetical question I probably shouldn't have asked. I'm Perkins Canal 100%. I was asked if you have $200 million worth of legal fees, and my response was, well, obviously we're not going to spend all the money on legal fees. We don't expect that to happen. I'm 100% behind water. We're going to be putting more and more energy while I'm governor into water, making sure we are having our aquifers for 7 generations and improving water quality. We'll be making investments there. It's important.
Another thing I've heard in terms of revenue is the gambling issue. I see Coach's picture on the wall. He says there's a lot of societal ills. How do you balance that in your own mind?
Yeah, well, when we talk about gambling, it really doesn't matter what I think. The people in Nebraska spoke, and we've legalized gambling. Casinos are under construction. My hometown, the casino is open and running. I think that there's been the conversation about online sports betting. The data that I've gotten is saying that because of technology today, that anybody in the state that wants to bet online can do it anywhere. I've said if, on the condition that is true, if somebody leads the way, I wouldn't stand it, because if on the condition people are betting online here in Nebraska and all the money's going to surrounding states, my view is that my job is to run the state as efficiently as possible, and we don't lose that revenue because we've already done it. If it's not the case, then I don't like online sports betting. I don't like it at all. But if everybody's doing it and we're losing all the revenue, that's a piece that has to be considered.
As we start to wrap all this up, I just paid off my mortgage, paid a 30-year mortgage in 15 years, which feels darn good.
It feels good.
But that means now I actually get the sticker shock of paying that tax bill, because it's not just tied in with the bank.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at that check, and that's a big check to write. I looked, and my check would be cut about roughly in half. Is that typical of what you're seeing?
Yeah. So it's going to do. Everybody can go online, look at the QR code, and be able to take a look at what it'll decrease and what your property tax will decrease. And yeah, there's no question. Average is 50%. So if you're paying $6,000 a year in property tax, $500 a month, it's gonna get cut in half. What that's real. Those are the things that stimulate economic activity. Those are the things that make us competitive with our neighbors. Our tax policy, we have spent too much money. We are not competitive in our tax policy in the state of Nebraska. We have to change. We're broadening the sales tax. The hardcore reality is the states that are growing the fastest get the majority of their revenue from sales tax. Broadening the sales tax is just really, really solid policy.
Just bottom line, if I hear you, this isn't the Pillen plan. You're willing to work with these 49 folks
100%.
Down the hall to try to get something done.
100%, 100%. Whatever, there's principles that's got to happen, which I've displayed. But however we get there, I'm on the team. We have to have property tax problem crisis solved, and I'm here to help in any way possible.
Anything else we haven't mentioned that you want to pass?
I just can't emphasize enough to Nebraskans. It's really, really important, using the sports analogy. It's really important that Nebraskans get on the field, get out of the stands, get on the field, make sure your voice is heard. You can call 49 senators. Each senator is senator of Nebraska. They're not just senator of your district. They are senators for Nebraska. Call senators, make sure they know your story and that your voice is heard. Fix the property tax crisis. All right.
Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Steve.